Hello, our lesson is on slope. This is part 2. Recall from the previous lesson that slope is defined as a ratio of the rise over the run. And we use the letter M to represent slope. Rise is the change in the y, so in other words is the vertical change between any 2 points on a line. And run is the change in the x, or the horizontal change between any 2 points on a line. All right, so let's calculate the slope of this line. Let's first look at the 2 points that are shown for us. This point is the point x equals -2, y equals 0. And this point is x equals 0, y equals 3. All right, so we can simply count slope. If I start at -2, 0, my change in the y direction, the rise, would be 1, 2, 3. So I have to go up 3. And then the run, the change in the x direction, if I go up right here, I have to turn and go 1, 2 in the positive x direction to get from x equals -2 to x equals 0. So the run would be 2. Therefore, the slope of this line is 3 over 2. And slope is a ratio, and we always write it as a ratio. So if you get a slope like this, never write it as 1.5. Always leave it as an improper fraction. All right, here's our next example. Let's calculate the slope of the line. Now remember that when we calculate the slope of a line that's given to us, and we're using the graph to count the slope, that we want to find points that are lattice points. Remember, the lattice points are where the vertical and horizontal grids are intersecting, and they're on our line. So let me see if I can find a couple lattice points. Well, right here on the y-intercept, that's a lattice point right there. And then x equals 4, y equals 1, there's a lattice point. So those are 2 good points to pick. As a matter of fact, I don't know if I see any other lattice points on there. All right, now let's calculate rise and run. Remember, rise is the vertical change in the y direction. So I'm going to start down here at the y-intercept of -4 and count upwards. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the rise, change in the y direction, is equal to 5. Now let's calculate the run, which is the change in the x direction. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so the slope of this line is 5 over 4. All right, so let's calculate slope for these 2 lines. So first of all, line A. Line A is a horizontal line. So if we look at the rise, here at this point, the value of y is +2. And at this point, the value of y is also +2. So the rise is going to equal 0. We don't go up or we don't go down. And then the x value is -3 at this point, and it's +4 here. But so the change in the x value, or the run, in this case would be 7, but it really doesn't matter because 0 divided by any non-zero number is always going to equal 0. So the slope for this line is equal to 0. And that should make sense when we think about it. If we think of slope as a steepness, a flat line would have no steepness at all. All right, let's look at this example. Okay, here are the 2 points we've chosen. The first one down below, the y value is -4, and here up top, the y value is +2. So the change in the y value is a +6. If I start down here and go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, but the change in the x values is going to be 0 because both those points have a value of 1 for x. And notice this. I have 0 in the denominator of a fraction. In other words, I'm dividing by 0. That's impossible. Remember that whenever we try to divide by 0 with the calculator, we would get an error. All right, so this slope is considered undefined because there's no such number. We cannot divide by 0 and get a number in the real number system. Okay, so that brings us then to the 4 basic kinds of slope that we can find. So first of all, if we have a line like this one that's sloping upward to the right, that will always give us a positive slope. If we calculate slope correctly, we should come up with a positive number. This kind of slope right here would give us a negative slope. If we calculated our slope correctly between any 2 points on this line, we would get a negative number. And we just saw that a flat line has a 0 slope and a vertical line has an undefined slope. Read some books.